Welcome to the App Business Q&A webinar. Thank you guys for joining me. You could definitely be doing anything with your time, so I'm quite honored and pleased that you spend the time with me. So today, it's a pretty simple agenda. Hopefully you can see my screen. If you can, it's super simple, so it doesn't really matter. So first is the intro, which is right now. I'm walking you through the agenda. Then we're going to do some Q&A. I've received a few questions ahead of time. I'm going to go through those. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the mentoring program. I kind of teased this, so I'm really excited about this. I'm finally starting a virtual mentoring program. A lot of people have asked me for something like this. I finally figured out a way to make it very affordable so anybody can participate and still make it impactful. And then we're going to close things out with more questions. You know, if you guys may have more questions as we go through the webinar, and I'll take all of those. So let me know if that sounds good to you. All right, cool. So I'm going to begin with some of the questions that I got via email and via message ahead of time. So here's an easy one. Is there a book you would recommend with relation to the app business? And so for me, of course, the first book that comes to mind is App Empire. And you know, App Empire is a little bit outdated now in terms of some of the techniques that it recommends, but from a mindset perspective and understanding the entire app business, it's still very relevant, and it will still really help you in thinking about how you need to approach this business. So I recommend App Empire. There's another book called Life Hacked. It's more of a narrative story, but it follows a very successful app entrepreneur, and I find it pretty inspirational and helpful. So I recommend that book. And there's a book called Tapworthy. This is more about, Jesse, can you not hear me? Guys, let me stop for a second now. Let me know if you're able to hear me. Okay, okay. There must be some type of problem with Webinar Jam. Okay. Well, if you guys can hear on YouTube, can hear but no videos. Some people can hear on YouTube. Okay, the Webinar Jam is not working. Sorry to. I had some kind of problem. Let me see if I can get it to actually work through Webinar Jam. All right, guys, it seems like we're gonna have to hack this. So if you can just view on YouTube and right here, yeah. Thanks for being adaptable. Sorry for the technical difficulty. I'll take it up with Webinar Jam. Cool. So yeah, in terms of books, App Empire for sure, Life Hacked, and then Tapworthy is a book. It's really about app design, so you may want to check that out as well. I think those are all good for people just getting started who want to understand the app game. And yeah, keep the questions coming. So next up, suggestions for finding app developers or companies based on budget. And I always tell people my go-to is still it's Upwork now. It's Upwork.com. And I still use Upwork.com to find people, whether it's for development or for design. You know, now, of course, I have folks that I work with regularly, so I'm looking for developers a lot less often, but it still works. You have to be persistent because the level of talent and the level of proficiency varies a lot, but you can still find great people on Upwork. Now, I have some other friends in the business who use some other things. So there's a site called 2appdevelop.com. I'll spell that out in the chat box if I can. So 2appdevelop.com comes recommended. I know a lot of folks who are happy with their work. And then there's another site called toptal.com. Now, Toptal works with US developers primarily or exclusively. and that makes it more expensive relative to a lot of the folks that you'll find on Odesk. But sorry, Upwork, I can't get used to that. But I know folks that have a good experience with that, so you may want to check them out. And I don't get any kickbacks from these sites. Maybe I should talk to them. I should get a kickback. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Next question. Okay. How do you market a paid app with positive cash flow? So this actually is not something that I've done in practice yet. However, it is something that I'm working on because I have emoji apps that are paid apps. And the way I'm approaching it is really leveraging other people's audiences. Okay, yeah, let me stop and pin the YouTube link. Somebody pasted it in the group, so let me go ahead and pin that up. I don't even know how to pin it. So let's try that out. Boom. Let's see if I can pin this. Okay. So you guys should be able to see that link. I broadcasted as a question. That should work out. There you go. Let me edit that. So, all right, cool. So yeah, marketing a paid app with positive cash flow. So I'm leveraging other people's audiences, and what I mean by that is I'm working with folks who have a large Instagram following or large social media following and allowing them to promote the app. So I'm doing this with emoji apps, and these folks are my partner. They're getting a rev share. And when you do a rev share deal, you can give them anywhere from, it can be anywhere from an 80-20 deal to a 50-50 deal to a 20-80 deal. It all depends on how much promotion power the person brings to the table. What's their brand like? What are you guys likely to make on the deal? And then you can work to what percentages will make sense. So you can do that. Or another way to leverage people's audiences, particularly with Instagram, is what you call paid shout outs. And so what you would do is to go to influencers or to large pages that have a large following within the same niche that you're trying to target. And so this could be, say you had a recipe app, then maybe you would want to target people with food pages or chefs, or things like that. So you try to find these pages. You can use hashtags. You can just search using Google. And some of these pages are going to be willing to sell you shout outs, which is just a paid post on their account. And in exchange for $50 or $100 or whatever it is, they'll put up your post. You'll get some traffic, and hopefully you can convert that into downloads. And like I said, I haven't done this yet, but I've seen it work phenomenally well for emoji apps, for recipe apps. Seen people use it in the fitness space. People use it for apps and for a lot of non-app marketing as well, but I've seen it work powerfully for apps. Another thing that you can do in terms of increasing the cash flow for your paid app, and actually Carter Thomas put out a video on this today, is email marketing. So rather than considering it a one-time purchase, considering it a one and done type of deal, what you can do is once you have that customer and you get their email, then you can market other things to them via the email. And of course, that's not a simple thing. It's a whole process to it. There's a whole art and science to it, but there's another way. So check out that new video. I think it just dropped today on bluecloudsolutions.com. That should help. Not seeing any new questions, but I still have some more. So we're going to press forward with those. So what are the best ways to monetize your app? And yeah, do particular apps lend themselves to particular monetization strategies? I want to group those questions together because clearly they go together. And the best way to monetize your app is always going to depend. You know, if your app is marketed to kids, then you know, maybe having a paid app or having a lot of in-app purchases, maybe that's not the best strategy. Or maybe it is if it's young kids whose parents will be buying the apps, right? If it's a, I guess you always kind of want to, what you want to do, a good way to start is always to look at what people in your space are already doing that is working successfully. So like, for example, right now, let me go back to the example of emoji apps. For emoji apps right now, it's been proven that people can sell them from as paid apps for 99 cents to 2.99, right? And that's a proven model that works quite well. So you can do that and it will work. Right now, for most games, you'll notice that a lot of games are doing free with in-app purchases and ads. They're making a lot of money that way, right? It doesn't mean it's the only way that you can do it. There are paid apps, paid games that succeed, but they have to think more about their strategy. You know, are they built on a big brand that's going to allow them to sell it as a paid app? Are they doing something significantly different from all the other games out there? So in terms of the second question here, do particular apps lend themselves to particular strategies? Yeah, I would say that's kind of true. It's not a rigid type of deal. You can always try to do something different, but if you follow a proven model that's already working in the marketplace, then you're, I guess you're more guaranteed to have success. So best ways to monetize your app, it depends on the kind of app, but yeah, there's free with ads and in-app purchases. You can do subscriptions. That's a new way that Apple and Google are kind of promoting, and you know, it's a way to kind of increase your lifetime value rather than a one-time purchase, having a subscription that renews every month or renews every year. And then, of course, there are paid apps. So let me check back in. All right, cool. We're getting some more questions here. I like it. I like it. Let's see. Oh, so I'm gonna take this question right now. I'm gonna jump ahead. So Angel asked, how can we find the mastermind group and how can we find a coach? And I'm cheating and jumping ahead just because that's something I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. I'm actually introducing a mentoring program. It's called App Breakthrough. You see the branding in the bottom right corner. And that's going to be a mentoring program involving me and involving a whole community of people in the app business working together to create success. So that's one way to do it. Of course, there are great groups out there like Blue Cloud as well. You can look for mastermind groups within that. I'd say anywhere you can find people within like-minded people within the same business is probably a good place to start. Let's go back to the questions that I got ahead of time. Okay, so once your idea is wireframed, how much should you plan to spend on a design person prior to development? And they said hourly. How much should you plan to spend hourly? And I actually don't like to do hourly. I like to do fixed price jobs. I like to know exactly what I'm coming out of pocket with. So I'm not exactly the right person to answer this question. But let me tell you that when it comes to design or development, you can really spend whatever you want to spend. There are just, it depends. So are you going to get a US person or are you going to get a person in a country where the cost of living is less, right? Because that's one factor that's dramatically going to affect what the rate is, right? And then what is the experience and track record of the person that you're getting? So for example, I ran into a buddy of mine the other day, actually in the barber shop, and he's working with a development and design firm in New York, and very famous firm. I'm forgetting the name. I think they're called Fusion, but they've worked with folks like Starbucks and Nike and created all these award-winning top class apps. And I think the price to start working with them is something like, I don't know, $200,000, 100 grand or 200 grand for a prototype, right? So you can spend that, or I'm not going to spend that. But if you're a funded company, maybe that makes sense for you for what you're building. Or if your client is a Fortune 500 company, maybe you're working with a developer on that level to get a certain level of quality and whatever. But for me, I like to just price it out. And a way that you can price out your design or your development is you can go into Odesk as if you were looking for a job, and you can search for similar work. You can search for similar work and look at the different prices at which the jobs closed, right? And then once you start to find 5 or 6 or 10 of those, that will give you an idea of where the market is at. So that's a very powerful strategy that I would highly recommend. It's very hard to just throw out a figure. You can pay whatever you want to. All right, cool. Getting some more questions in. Cool. So I'm going to take some of the questions that are coming in live now. I'm going to take those towards the end of the presentation. Okay, cool. John is throwing out some hourly figures. Definitely appreciate that, John. So $16.50 an hour for India, 25 to 50 on Elance, 150 to 250 an hour for other agencies. Oh, and I will say, let me add to that. If you guys would like to talk to some development shops that I know, join the Daily Spark entrepreneur community. So that's at dailyspark.co/community. And I can put you in touch with a few of the developers that we have in that group. So that's, just go ahead and ask the question once you're inside, and I'll put you in touch with some real live developers, and maybe you can hire them. Maybe they can give you guidance if you're looking for something different. So boom, that should be helpful for you guys. All right, moving right along. Hope you guys are having a good time. All right, so next question. What are some creative ways for developers to work with startups who are pre-money, and who owns the code? So in terms of who owns the code, you always want to own the code every single time that you enter into a project. If you're working with a partner, then you guys can co-own the code. But for any developer that you hire, you want to write the contract so that you own the code, and they are just doing work for you for a price. And at the end of the day, you own the code. What are some creative ways to work with startups who are pre-money? So I've always been pre-money. I've never raised any money for anything that I've done, so I'm always quote unquote pre-money. For me, I'm just hiring from Odesk, as I mentioned, or continuing the relationships with these same developers that I found via Odesk. So that's definitely one approach that you can use. Odesk, 2App Develop, TopTal, Elance, any of those sites. If there's an issue where you can't cover the cost of development up front, then you can attempt to do revenue sharing deals. A lot of times, a lot of developers will not be interested in these deals because they'd rather just get paid for the work and be done with it. But yeah, if you're able to create a relationship with a developer where they believe in your idea, then you can offer them a piece of the project. And obviously, that's always going to be a negotiation. Maybe they get a piece of the profits. Maybe you're actually giving them some, an actual equity in the company, which probably would not be recommended in most cases. But hey, maybe they're getting a piece of the sales, or a piece of the profits, and maybe that's one way you can get them interested. Oh, Thanks, you guys who are answering questions within the group. Really appreciate that. Definitely. So, what are some key questions to ask a developer when vetting them for the hire? And what are some red flags to look for in the vetting process? So, for me, when you're hiring a developer, it's very difficult to figure out how good they are just based on the interview. I mean, of course, what I always like to ask them for previous work that is similar to the project that I'm doing. So just ask to see a portfolio, some of the best things that they've done, and then ask them to explain how they did certain things, and just keep asking follow-up questions and see if they can really explain their work, do it in a manner that makes sense. Can they communicate well in English or whichever language you guys are going to be communicating in? Um, and in terms of red flags, a lot of times you'll see folks that are claiming that they've developed apps that they clearly didn't develop. You know, you might see Uber in their portfolio or the Amazon app, and you want to be very skeptical of things like that. Maybe they did develop it, but in most cases, you're not going to find those developers who did that on the open market on sites like Odesk and Eland. So be very skeptical of that. Um, be skeptical just when things don't seem to make sense, when the stories don't match up. um yeah, just try to be smart. But one thing I like to do to mitigate the risk, because you're never really going to know what somebody's like until you actually start working with them, just hire them for something small that can be completed relatively quickly initially, build some trust with that, and continue to just add small jobs and build up some trust, build up a relationship. And by the time you want to hire them for a larger, more significant piece of work, you kind of know who you're working with. That would be my recommendation there. So I know I was asked for key questions. I did kind of give some key questions, but I think that's the approach that will protect you the most. Okay, here we go. All right. So what's next after the app is built? Does it require a beta period, ongoing maintenance? If so, for how long? You start with a basic version of the app to test and add to it after beta. Yeah, after the app is built, it really depends on you. But like if you're looking to build something sustainable with lasting value, then yeah, there will be future iterations made to the app. You should release a basic version and continue to add features based on the response that you get from your target users. Just what do they like, what do they not like, and just try to make it better, try to make it more useful, try to make it easier to use. Does it require a beta period? That's really up to you. Ongoing maintenance, I guess the question being asked is, this seems like, how would you structure the contract with the developer? And yeah, I think it does make sense to ask for some level of maintenance. You don't want somebody just doing the app for you and then disappearing, because there may be some initial problems and you may need to get some things fixed, right? For how long? Maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's a month. That's a discussion, that's a negotiation. There may be a certain amount of time that they're willing to give you as part of the original price. You may have to pay if things get more complicated, but you do want to keep on iterating and making things better. All right. I see Aaron's asking about businessapps.com. So Aaron, I haven't used it, but my buddy Khalid El-Sabai has used businessapps.com. I would check out, so I can't remember the episode number, but so Khalid did an episode on the Daily Spark podcast. So check it out. He talks a lot about business apps and how he used it to build up his business. There are pros and cons. He talks about those. It's a templated system, so there's a limitation to the amount of things that you can do. But if you're trying to build a certain kind of app, it can be an effective way to go. I guess another thing on the downside is that you don't actually get the code to the app. So you have to stay on the business app system, like for the duration of the app. If you want to make any changes, it has to be made through the business apps interface, and so on and so forth. All right, cool, cool. Moving on to the next question. Oh yeah, so I like this question, and this came from the perspective of a busy parent who has young kids, and she wanted to know, what do you think could reasonably be achieved in 1 hour per day, and what sort of projects do you think would work best? I like this question. There are a lot of people who are pressed for time, whether it's because of kids, whether it's because of work, and I think that you can still get things done. You just have to be creative. And if we're talking about 1 hour per day, maybe you want to keep the app simple, right? And maybe what you want to do, and this is just one idea, you can go a number of ways with it. Maybe you want to target a niche and just deliver a very simple app that's going to be useful to that niche. So if you think about runners, like maybe you're making an app for runners, and you're going to go into the app store, you're going to look for apps for running, you're going to see what's out there. Maybe you find that runners need tracking, and there's some tracking apps out there. You're going to study all the tracking apps, and then you're going to see what kind of improvements are needed, and see what kind of simple tracking app that you can put out that runners would love. And I think that type of project, you do something like that. You can do a recipe app for people who like paleo. If I don't know, but really the key here is that you're focusing on a very particular niche that has very particular interests, and then you're building something that is, while it's going to be simple, it's something that they really want and need. So the development is not going to be costly. It's not going to be time consuming to develop, but I guess the real trick here is just going to be, how do you reach them? How do you get it out to them? Maybe that's going to be done using shout outs. Maybe it's going to be done using a partnership. Maybe you're going to use Facebook ads, right? But yeah, I think when you're short on time, just think really simple, and just think more about who are the people that you're trying to serve, and like, what problem can you solve for them, and how can you do so quickly and relatively inexpensively. All right, all right. All right, cool. So I'm seeing some cool discussion going on in the group. That's awesome. I'm gonna pause right now. As I mentioned in the agenda, you can see here, I wanted to talk to you guys about the mentoring program. I want to introduce that. Actually, let me pull something up. So give me one quick second, guys. And by the way, I am going to get to the rest of these questions as well. And thank you guys for hanging in. I know it's Sunday night. You guys are probably super excited about tomorrow. So, okay, so yeah, that's me. That's me in Hawaii at the Blue Cloud Conference. So let's see. Now, as I mentioned, I want to talk to you about the mentoring program, and really what this is all about. Like for a long time, I've always been getting questions about the app business, and I just try to figure out ways that I can get back to people, and ways that I can kind of scale myself and to make it sustainable. And it's been tough. But really the reason why I'm talking today is for those of you out there who want to finally break through with apps, right? You want this to be your breakthrough year. You want to break through in 2017. the same way I broke through in 2012. Maybe you want this to be the year that you finally start your app business and get it off the ground. Or maybe for you, breakthrough means that you want to start to generate significant profit, or maybe it means that you want to generate more money through the app business than you do in your full-time job. So you can quit and you can go full-time with it. I'm not sure what it means to you, but if any of these sound like you, you're going to want to pay attention. And so, as many of you know, 3 years ago, I did something a lot of people would consider insane. And I walked away from my full-time job. I was working with Microsoft. It was a six-figure job. And I wanted to go full-time with the app company that I started in my bedroom, right? And shortly after I went full-time, things started going good, you know, of course, not right away, but I go on to receive my first seven-figure offer. And I started generating money. I knew I had to take the opportunity seriously. I was kind of shocked, didn't know what to do. Eventually, I passed on it, and I figured that I couldn't lose betting on myself, right? And a couple months later, my faith was justified. I had this game here, Bike Race. Bike Race went to the top of the charts. It was generated a lot of money for me, generated 80,000 downloads a day at its peak. We're going to have a lot of ups and downs. And ultimately, I sold my first portfolio. See, that's making a deal right there. And that was definitely a feeling of accomplishment. But, you know, after a while, despite the success that I had, after the excitement faded, I was kind of left feeling a little bit empty. And I was wondering, you know, hey, like, what am I doing for anything else? This app money thing is kind of cool, but what am I really doing for society? And then, can I do this thing again, or did I just get lucky? So after some months of like fumbling around, testing, and trying different things, began building the Daily Spark. And you guys probably heard of the Daily Spark by now. And Daily Spark has been really cool. It's been humbling. It's been a blessing. We currently reach over 75,000 entrepreneurs each and every day. It's been really good in terms of inspiration for entrepreneurship and that type of thing. But I really started to feel like the impact that I'm having is not enough. And I want to make more impact in terms of education. And I want to help more people to do really well in the ad business and really perform at a high level. You know, I've been kind of quiet about the ad business over the last year since I sold, but I'm really back in it full force. I'm making moves in it. I've closed some pretty big and pretty interesting deals that I believe are going to lead to massive success in 2017. And I kind of want to be able to share more about what I'm doing. You know, I've really cut down my business commitments. I got into e-commerce for a while. I closed down my e-commerce business. I'm focusing on apps. I'm focusing on really helping folks with apps, and of course, the Daily Spark as well. So I've cleaned out the clutter, and what I want to do is what a lot of people have asked me for. I want to start personally mentoring a group of students who are ready to have their breakthrough. I want to make sure it's the year that your business and your life can really go to the next level. I want to help you to have the same kind of breakthrough that I had in 2012 when I was able to finally start generating real money from apps and finally be able to quit my full-time job. And just, you know, that whole experience really changed my life. And while none of this is easy, none of this is guaranteed, I know that I can help people to get better in this. I know that I have a lot of experience, and, you know, I know that as a community, we can all help each other. So I've really been thinking about this. How do I do this? How do I help folks to be able to find the right developer? Or how do you choose the right idea that's going to be profitable from the start? How do you generate traffic on the App Store? So these are all questions that I want to help with. And while we can do one-off webinars, like how do we help on a consistent basis, right? Now, of course, there's the possibility of coaching. Like I do coaching calls once in a while and consulting calls. It's really expensive. Like just because of the fact it's not scalable, I have to charge a lot. Like it costs up to 200 to 400, sometimes $500 per hour, depending on the client, depending on the complexity. So that's really not a solution for most people, and it's not even something that I really like to do that much, right? Coaching gets expensive. I paid for coaching, and there are other programs out there that aren't as expensive. Some of them actually are good. I'm in some of them. Blue Cloud offers some great programs. But there are a lot of programs where there's no interaction, and you kind of just consume it and then it's over. I don't think that's the best kind of deal. So what I want to offer, I knew that if I wanted to create a mentoring program, I wanted it to be interactive. I wanted it to be something that anybody on this call could afford, no matter what, if they wanted to, right? It's not going to be for everybody, but I wanted to be something that anybody could afford, and I wanted it to still be just as impactful as if it were something that cost thousands of dollars, right? And I want it to be interactive. I want it to be so that you can get to know me, I can get to know you. Everybody can interact with me personally in a way that I cannot do when I'm getting pinged on LinkedIn and email every day. Yeah, let me just get right into it, right? Like I've helped folks in the past to scale their business. They're a couple of my friends. So a friend of mine, Emeka, introduced him to it after I started being successful with it. He actually was able to scale his business through lots of hard work. I didn't do it for him. He worked very hard. He scaled it. He sold it for multiple six figures, just like I did last year as well. Was able to help another friend of mine to scale his business to over six figures a year. And he did not sell his business. Unfortunately, he had some issues with it, and it's still generating income for him. He's still in the ad business. Kind of used it as a learning opportunity to continue to grow. But yeah, so let me just tell you guys what this is really going to be about. Don't want to be too long-winded. So I want to be able to help you guys to achieve these same kind of results, and I don't want it to cost thousands of dollars, right? So here's the deal. Really, this group, like what it's for, as I mentioned, it's for people. We all have the common goal as entrepreneurs. Well, I think I speak for us. You can correct me if I'm wrong. No matter what stage of your business you're at, what you want to break through. You want to live your best life. You want to build your app business. You want to generate money, and you want freedom. You want prosperity, and that's the reason why I call this app breakthrough. And so this group is going to be what it's going to be. What you're going to get. It's going to be hosted on Facebook, and I'm going to bring you into my world personally. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my app business. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, the results that I'm getting. I'm going to take you into my marketing campaign so you can see I'm generating more leads, more users, how I'm generating profits. Going to show you the step-by-step methods I use. I'm going to take you into my adventures as I travel and go to different conferences. I'm going to allow you to pull up a chair to my kitchen table. We can sit down, we can talk business. Any question you have, I'm there to answer it. Others in the group are there to answer it. But so that's more or less what you're getting. I'm sure by this time you're wondering, all right, cool. I'm interested or I'm not interested, but what is the price? So I know I could charge a lot for this, but that's not the point. You're getting access to me. I'm answering your questions. You're getting community. You're getting critique from me. Um, this is not going to be like the course that the first course I took cost me $10,000. Still ended up being a great thing for me, but that's not what I'm doing. It's not even going to be like the $2,000 course that I took. It's not going to be like the $1,000 course that I offered before. What I want to do is I want this to be a $50 per month membership program, right? And I actually, for people who want to sign up today, I actually want to allow you to test this thing out for just $1. I want you to be able to test it out for $1, and that will be for a 1-week trial. If you like it, if you enjoy it, you don't have to do anything. After a week, the $50 per month will kick in. It's actually, I believe it's $49.99 or $49.97, but $50 a month will kick in and we'll start billing. If you decide that you want to cancel, just email me at support@dailyspark.co or mo@dailyspark.co. It'll cancel, no problem. And actually, even up through the first month, if you decide that it's not for you, it's totally risk-free. Any reason, just let me know. Email me, mo@dailyspark.co, support@dailyspark.co. I don't want people in the program who are not happy with it. So you get your money back, no questions asked. So this is really this the only time I'm going to do it. And if I continue to do it, I guarantee it will be at a higher price. So I love it if you guys want to join it, but if not, no hard feelings. So if you're interested, the place where you can join right now is at, and I'm going to type the link for you. Have not been checking the box, so sorry if I missed stuff. The place where you can join is dailyspark.co/special price. I'm going to type that for you right here. And that will get you the $1 1-week trial, which will then go into $50 per month. And for those of you who opt in, you'll notice that there is a special deal that will actually save you a bunch of money if you want to commit to a full year of the program. But yeah, you'll have to go ahead and purchase it to see that. So cool. Hope some people are interested in that. But let's get back to the questions. Hope you guys are still hanging in. Let me know what you think about the program. If you have any questions about the program, go ahead and ask those as well. But I want to take the rest of the question. Oh, Angel, awesome. Glad to have you in the program. Thank you, man. So let me scroll down and see what else we had asked. I want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. Come off the screen share. Okay, cool. How much should we know about app development before hiring somebody? Yeah, good question. Before you hire somebody, I think you want to at least know the basics of, you want to be able to speak the language and know the process. So I would say it makes sense to, maybe you want to go through a course, maybe you want to join the mentoring program, but you want to know enough so that you know exactly what the entire process looks like, so that you can direct the person, you can tell them what you want. You don't want them to be leading you. You want to be leading them. So yeah, whether it's going through there are a lot of free guides out there. I can point you to some if you haven't seen them. There's some great courses out there, but you want to know enough so that you know the entire process. Which doesn't mean that you have to be technical at all. It just means you have to You have to understand the process. Okay. What are the trends for apps in 2017? Um, hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So I think you can probably answer that in a lot of different ways. I think a big trend in apps is going to be subscriptions. So you've seen Apple and Google make announcements around subscriptions. They want to encourage more app developers to kind of pursue this route. So I think you're going to see that happening. There are some of the big paid apps that started pursuing this model, so you're going to see more of that. Um, Another trend that's kind of already started is just the move towards more quality. It's no longer the day and age where you can just publish anything and it's going to be successful based on some choosing the right keywords. It's a lot more about knowing your audience and solving some kind of problem for them or creating some type of value for them. I think that that's only going to continue and become more important. Let's see what else for 2017. Um, yeah, I think it really it really it really varies a lot just based on you know I think it pays to think of apps more like a vehicle for a solution rather than apps being I know I say app business a lot, but you should think of it as, hey, I'm serving a customer who has a certain kind of problem in a certain industry, and apps are my vehicle for delivering the solution. And when you look at it that way, then there are a lot of different things happening um, with apps in 2017. Um, but uh, another strong trend you're probably going to see, I'm not sure if it's going to become mainstream just yet, but virtual reality and augmented reality. You already saw Pokemon Go be very successful this past year, so you'll probably see more AR and VR apps popping up. I know some folks doing very, very well in virtual reality, so could be something to look at. But yeah, let's continue. So, have you tried Apple search ads, and if so, how is it? I haven't personally tried search ads. It's something that I'm definitely going to be investing in and trying out. It's brand new, so that means that there'll definitely be well, there'll likely be some opportunities with that before everybody starts using it. Oftentimes it'll be the early movers that kind of reap the rewards with some of these things. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Have you combined or seen any games combined with emojis? Um, you unlock the character, get the character as an emoji sticker. Yeah, I have seen that before. I don't know how effective a strategy it's going to be. Um, there'd have to be you'd have to be serving some kind of market where that would make sense, and having that emoji would be considered valuable by the person who's playing the game. But just on the face of it, I don't think that necessarily provides you with any type of advantage. Michelle's saying, check out Disney emoji and Gardenscapes. I'm sure you've already done that. Yeah, I'm way behind that chat. Sorry. So, any links you recommend for building apps other than BuildBox? So, BuildBox is an awesome game builder. I'm actually using it right now for a game that I have in review right now. So, for simple games, like simple one-touch games, I guess a lot of different kind of simple casual games, BuildBox is great. For other kind of apps, like there are a lot of different app builders for I guess business type of apps, or yeah, really business type of apps. There's business apps, as we mentioned, and there are a lot of others that I can't really recall, but you can Google them. Like there are just tons of them out there. Just I would just highly suggest like Googling them and doing some comparison and contrast on their features and what they offer. So somebody's saying Corona Yeah, Corona requires some coding, so you probably still need a developer unless you can code. Construct 2, I think that's pretty. I know some kids that are using Construct 2 to learn apps in school. They seem to like it. I haven't used it ever. So I have an emoji app and it's free, and the other are paid for 99 cents. I have around 500 downloads so far and only 2 in-app purchases. Should I make it paid? Yeah, so I would recommend just trying out different things. So you can take the same app and release it as a paid app and just see what happens. And just also think about like how are you marketing this thing and getting it out there? Like what are some ways that you can get in front of more people that would be in your target audience? And the more that you can have a good answer for that question, the more successful you're going to be and the more money that you're going to make on that app. But yeah, if it's only converting um, two out of uh, 500 downloads, then yeah, you may want to look for a different strategy there for how you can make this work. And what I've seen most often with emojis is as a paid app, and then it turns into a volume game there. Totally free. Okay. We talked about business apps. Okay. All right. Favorite apps. So my favorite app is the Kindle app because I like to read. Swamp Attack. So speaking of Facebook, why is my community only on Facebook? Um, so the reason why I'm using Facebook is just because it's the easiest platform for interactivity that I found, and it just works very very well for me to be able to give you guys video content and lessons. Um, you know, in the future, perhaps there'll be another. Perhaps I'll host it on a membership site, but I think Facebook was a great way. Great, being that I don't want this thing to be an expensive program, so I'm trying to also keep my costs low on this thing, so I can still deliver you guys what's really important: the quality, just quality advice, deliver community, and just help people to do well in the app business. So we'll see what the future holds for App Breakthrough, but right now, Facebook is the platform that we are going forward with. Writing a temp employment app, but I need to find a source of jobs to populate the app. Thoughts? So, yeah, I see this question has been answered, but yeah, why not reach out to the people who are currently doing it outside of the App Store? So if there are headhunters, if there are recruitment firms that are local to your area, that might be a great way to start. Which ads are most effective in getting more app downloads, like Facebook ads or Google Ad Network? I think Facebook ads are really the easiest way to start, so I'll definitely try that out first. Just the targeting on that is really great. It can be costly initially, so you want to monitor how much you're spending, and you want to make sure that you're really trying to target your exact customer the most that you can. You're targeting the music arts community, so it's mostly word of mouth. So, Lewis, I would also think about, Facebook ads are definitely one way to get the word out there, but maybe there's some other ways. So you're talking about music, like can you use Instagram? Are there some pages that will be relevant that can help you to get the word out? They have millions of followers and will allow you to purchase a shout out for $50 or $100. I haven't done the research on that, but I guarantee you that they do exist. So I would definitely look into that. Let's see. Yeah, maybe you can market through musicians. I'm not sure, but Facebook is one way, but I would also just try to hustle outside of that. All right, cool. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Angel. Glad to see you guys in the program. John says I'll swap my service for yours. Okay, cool. Man, I'm so behind. I'm not sure what that was referring to. How can I generate more organic downloads? So, huh, it's tough. So, in terms of organic downloads, you definitely want to optimize your app listing in terms of the keywords, in terms of the screenshots, in terms of the icon. But there are limits to what that will do. And as you optimize, we're lucky now that Apple and Google give us some analytics through iTunes Connect and Google's dashboard that tell you how often people are looking at your listing and how often people are converting from like looking at the listing to downloading. So you can test different things, like you can test different screenshots, test different icons, and see if that will give you a lift in terms of the conversion rate. But you also want to look at just the top of the funnel, like how many people are you getting in through the door? And it's difficult to just do that organically unless you know unless you have a major brand behind you, or you're just doing something that nobody's done before that's getting a lot of press. Like nowadays, I do think you have to be a little bit more intentional about the marketing, and leverage some of these outside platforms like Instagram or Facebook ads. Organics, organics are tough. Of course, we all love them. But oh yeah, okay. So another way that you actually can get organics is what I talked about before. If you're targeted at something like a niche like paleo, and you're delivering something very specific that people want, people are searching for, but there's not a lot of competition out there, then you're going to get organic downloads, right? And maybe there may be a limitation. Maybe maybe after a while, a lot of people start to release the same kind of app, and it's more difficult to have you maintain your organic advantage. But that's one way that will work for that. Okay, Michelle says BillBox is having a massive sale today. Oh, maybe that's for Black Friday. So check out. Shout out to Trey Smith and BillBox for an awesome piece of software. What marketing book do you recommend that can aid you in app marketing? So Jesse, this book is a little dense, but there's a book called Freemium Economics by Eric Seufert. That really goes deep into app marketing, and yeah, it's a good book on app marketing. It's dense, it's long, it's not easy reading, but check that one out. Check out. So in terms of app marketing, the App Business Summit that we did, it's at appbusiness.co. Some great information on marketing release, Daily Spark podcast, great information on app marketing. Not all the episodes are on apps. Of course, Carter has been releasing some great stuff on the Blue Cloud podcast on app marketing. Check that out as well. But in terms of books, yeah, try that book. That's the one. Like I mentioned, it's very, very dense. Awesome, Jesse. Glad to have you on board. So Felix says, do you have a specific day of each month where you'll be having your group coaching session? Sorry, I didn't explain that well. So the coaching will actually be ongoing. And what I want to do is, when there are questions that multiple people have, or questions that I think are important to the business, I'll always be in. I'll be in the group on a daily basis. I mean, of course, if I go on vacation or something, I won't be there, but I'll always be in the group. If there are things that are more important, I'll release videos on particular things to provide more detail and provide more depth. And when I discover things, say like for the app that I'm releasing now, or there's an emoji deal that I've done with somebody who's a pretty big celebrity. So when that releases, I start to see some numbers. You can bet that I'll do a video on that to kind of take you behind the scenes and just show you how the numbers work out on something like that. When you're reaching millions of people. You know, what type of response can you expect? What went wrong? What would I do differently? So I'll shoot videos and put that into the group. I've actually already, I have some initial video content that I've created that I'll be uploading to the group tonight. So yeah, look out for that. And of course, I'll also try to schedule things so more people can make it. Oh yeah, Nate from WG12. What's up, Nate? Offer feedback on affecting bigger ticket in-app purchase via virtual currency. Any insight into pricing strategy or consumer behavior in the App Store that is more likely to lead such purchases? So yeah, in terms of getting people to purchase, I mean, you have to have the right people who are really getting value from your app, and I think that's what's going to make the most difference. And then, so one thing that I've learned is that the more that you can get people, so for one thing, you're gonna have to keep on iterating on the app to make it better and figure out like what are the things that people care about and that you can offer, so you can offer them a better version of that and kind of price it for higher. And then you also want to use onboarding. You want to walk people through the features of your app as soon as you can and just get them to use everything and get them to see the value in it. And if you can get them to see the value, then that's when you can get more people to spend. But there has to be a match between the customer that is actually in your app and like you have to have the person that would get value. So for example, again, if we're going to a paleo app and you get somebody in the app who like vaguely cares about paleo, they're not going to be the person that's going to buy. But if it's somebody who's like a paleo freak who's just so intense about this stuff, and then you offer them something that like I don't know, you offer them some amazing recipes as an upgrade, right? 10 amazing upgrade recipes, then they're more likely to buy in. So it's about targeting, it's about onboarding. Those are some of the things that I think are important. And then you just want to be aware of doing anything that is going to get people to quit the app. So you don't want it to be glitchy. You want it to be well designed, but those things are really just the table stakes that get you in the door. And it's going to be unrealistic that off the bat you're able to kind of achieve those high levels of in-app purchases. But if you continue to iterate, continue to get the app better, that's when you'll start to get there. Okay. Looking to create a dating app. Any guidance on how to start? Yeah. So what I would do for a dating app or for any kind of app is really first step, go out there and download the 5 or 10 best dating apps out there and just tear them apart. Like look at what do you like about them, what do you not like about them, how do they onboard their users, like go through the reviews, what are people complaining about, what do people love, and just spend some time doing that, and that'll give you at least a starting point. Then you want to start thinking about what is going to make your dating app unique. Why is somebody going to want to use your app rather than Tinder or all the other stuff that exists out there? Like what makes you different? Put some thought to that. You might want to check out a book that I've been reading recently that I got from David Reichelt called, what's that book? Thinker Toys. It's a book on creative thinking techniques, and that might help you to think through like how you can differentiate your app and make it something that people are actually going to want to use. Just because if you just create another dating app that's the same thing, I don't know how successful that's going to be. And I think those things cost a fair amount to get going. Okay. John says, I have a really inexpensive way to reach out to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. So yeah, I would love to see that, John. Email me about that at mo@dailyspark.co. Thanks, man. So what else we got here? Do I build box games myself? So right now, I don't actually build anything myself, but I have a guy on my team who is working on BuildBox, building BuildBox thing. I played around with BuildBox a little bit, and it's a cool piece of software. But the way I prefer to run my business is with me focusing on just the business parts of it and having other people do the implementation. Personal choice. There are a lot of people I know who are very successful, who are more hands-on with BuildBox, and that's worked out well for them. So it's all about you, what you enjoy, how you want to run your business. Have you ever done the MVP approach to your apps, minimal viable product? Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. Um, I think it just makes a lot of sense. It's less costly. You can get things started quicker. And yes, I have done that. All right, cool. I think right now I've come to the end of. Oh no, okay. More. Another question popped up. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the program or any questions at all, feel free to drop them in. But I think we're going to be wrapping this thing up quite soon. So for the emoji apps, have you ported them to Facebook Messenger and other messenger apps like Line? I haven't. I think that's an opportunity for sure, especially if you start looking at some of these like some of these Asian app stores. The messenger apps are actually bigger. They're kind of like the main distribution platform. So definitely something to look at. Not something I've done to this point, but very good point right there. All right, cool. So it looks like we've run through. Do I release the course? Oh, for the program, do I release the course by week? So um, it's an ongoing thing. I'll be releasing content really on an ongoing basis. It's not a week to week type of thing. I hope that answers the question. How did you know that you were ready to quit your jobs? So for me, um, the way I did it, a lot of people have everybody's gonna have their own approach to it. For me, it was financial, and from a financial perspective, I was like doing, I was like making double in the app business what I was doing in my day job, and then I started making more than that, and I kept it going for a number of months. So that gave me enough confidence to say that this is something that I can do long term, right? So that's what it was for me. But everybody's going to be different, right? I know people who are making plenty of money in the app business, but still want to keep the full-time job for security, for benefits, for their family. Just for me, that's the way I decided. Oh, so how much would I charge to teach everything I know coaching one-on-one? So yeah, I do one-on-one calls, and it's so expensive. It just I don't know. For me, it's cool, but yeah, the rate that I'm charging right now for consulting is it's about 400 or 450 an hour. So I think the group coaching is just a much better deal. Yeah, my pleasure, Aaron. My pleasure. Do I have contacts in the healthcare field for starting apps? So I'm actually talking to somebody who's working on a healthcare app, but yeah, it's just somebody happened to approach me with the healthcare app, and we're discussing it. I'm just helping with them on a limited basis. Yeah, Aaron, it's my pleasure, and yeah, Siri, thanks so much for being on it. I really enjoyed talking with you guys. Always a good time, and love these Q&A joints. Thanks everybody for being here. And if you have any questions that I didn't get to, feel free to shoot them to me at mo@dailyspark.co, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. If you want to join into the program, the link for that, let me post that up. And Like, I really hope you do. I really like. I'm really excited about this. I really think it's a great deal. It's $1 to try. There's no risk. You, if you don't like it, then you absolutely get your money back. I don't want it. But you know, my goal is to just deliver some. You're spending $50 a month. I want it to feel to you as if you're spending that you're getting the same value as if you spent $1,000 or $2,000, right? Like that's how I want it to be. So hopefully it's no brainer for you. If it's not, no hard feelings. But regardless, definitely enjoy this webinar and posting the link. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes in case there are any more questions that flow in. But otherwise, you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening, and yeah, enjoy at Breakthrough. See if hopefully I posted that right. Yeah, my pleasure, Carisha. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. Did I broadcast it? Yes. Yeah, my pleasure, John. Cool. I will look out for your email. My pleasure, Lewis. My pleasure, everybody. Had a great time. Thank you guys for joining in. And I'll catch you guys. Oh, and if you guys don't belong to the Daily Spark community yet, I don't know why not. So dailyspark.co/community. Hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you guys in at Breakthrough. So dailyspark.co/special price. Let's get that thing going. All right. Talk to you guys. Oh man, got a new question. Yeah, I'll see you in the course too. What if there is a lot of data collection with starting the app? Can you rephrase that question? Because I don't completely understand it. Last question. What recommendations for optimal in-app purchases? Okay, I thought I was winding down. Oh my gosh, knocking over the whole shelf. Okay, so let's see. Recommendation for optimal in-app purchases. That just depends so much on what the app is, and it depends so much on what the app is and what the customer is. But the general idea is that you want to find something that your target person is really going to want and is going to take their experience and all the books of Holinda and just multiply it by 10, right? So like what is the super user of your app just going to love, and then give that to them as an in-app purchase, and that's your optimal purchase. Feedback on celebrity emoji apps in terms of a lower threshold of celebrity that you've seen be successful. Yeah, I think it works. All that matters is that the person has an engaged audience that cares about what they do. So just think about like some of their YouTube stars, their Vine stars, all of that sort of person can be a great target. There can be people who are like smaller celebrities. They're chefs that people love on Instagram. There are people who are fitness people that a bunch of people are into. So anybody that has a passionate, engaged audience could potentially be a good target, and that could potentially work well. It may not. It's always a risk with anything, but I think you have a good chance of getting a good return on your investment. All right, guys, I'm going to clean up all these books that I knocked over so I don't get in too much trouble. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.